Michella Chester with my latest college volleyball Power 10 rankings following week 10. I don't say this often, but we had a pretty quiet week in college volleyball. There are minimal changes to my Power 10 this week, but a few, so let's go through them. Texas and Louisville remain on top this week. The Longhorns have a fairly easy rest of the way aside from another date with Baylor. Louisville, on the other hand, has some top-notch competition in the ACC remaining. The Cards still have Pitt again and Georgia Tech this upcoming Friday. I will say if the Cards were able to get one win, maybe both against those two teams, it might give reason for them to move above Texas as the number one team in the nation. We'll see. San Diego remains at 3. It's tough to keep them up there when there's just so many teams playing tougher schedules. But again, I can't find a reason to move them down either, so I struggle here. This was a fairly uneventful week, like I mentioned, so I'm keeping them at 3 for now, and we'll see what happens moving forward. I moved the Badgers up last week after they took down Nebraska in straight sets. I rewarded a team that was clearly looking really dominant. Last 10 matches is an important line to look at as we get closer and closer to the tournament, so Wisconsin stays at 4 for now, and Nebraska remains just below them. Seems weird having the Huskers down at 5, I know. I would have maybe considered moving them, but they were just pushed to 5 sets by Northwestern last weekend. Ohio State also played the Wildcats and swept them, so I rewarded them by moving them up a spot. That means Pitt is at 7, no fault to them. They do not seem like the number 7 team, but who else would you move below them? Stanford also stays at number 8 too. Number 3 through 8 feels incredibly even. This parity is insane this season. Lastly, I have Minnesota still at number 9. They have some big matchups coming up to keep an eye out for. And I moved Oregon back into my Power 10. The Ducks picked up another big ranked win over Washington this past weekend, avenging their first loss to the Huskies this season. That's another huge ranked on their resume, and they don't really have any bad losses to consider. So I threw them back in. That does it, and I'm sure we'll have some more movement next week after some crazy action this weekend. Stay tuned to those games on NCAA.com, and I'll see you next Monday to break it down.